Welcome to ENFA's webinar this evening. The European Network of Fibromyalgia Associations, ENFA, represents 24 organizations from 19 countries. This is our community, the national members. I'm Gunilla Göran, the chair, and the vice president, Joanna Vicente, will manage the technique for us tonight. ENFA arranged, among other things, open webinars with lecturers from ENFA's Scientific Advisory Committee, SAC, whose members are more than 30 internationally recognized researchers, psychologists, physiotherapists, and other healthcare providers. Tonight, we welcome Dr. Carmen María Galvez Sánchez, psychologist and researcher from the Universidad de Jaén, Spain. She will give us a lecture on fibromyalgia and coping strategies. You can watch it live on ENFA Facebook now and later on our YouTube channel. After the lecture, the chat will be open for your questions and answers. And now Dr. Carmen María Galvez Sánchez will introduce herself a little bit more. Please welcome. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Good morning, good evening. First of all, thank you to the ENFAs and in special to Joanna and Gunilla for their kind invitation and the opportunity to share experiences, ideas, and therapeutic recommendations in this webinar, which is very informative. But of course, if you have any doubt, please let me know. Well, let me briefly introduce myself. My name is Carmen María Galvez Sánchez, in fact, and I am a Cuban and Spanish scientific. I am doctor in psychology by the University of Jaén in Spain, and I work at this university since 2015, more or less. And I also belong to the clinical psychophysiology research group, and my field of research is chronic pain, especially fibromyalgia syndrome. Let me share my screen if you agree, and we can begin to develop the theme of today, which is fibromyalgia syndrome and coping strategies. You have my email if you later need to contact or you have any doubt after our webinar. And in this sense, for me, it's very important to begin with a brief introduction, and later I will try to combine some experience in the therapy of chronic patients and in special fibromyalgia syndrome with the research in this field, because we need to be aware of the relevance of coping strategies and also the relevance of our emotions in the process of coping different events, in special a chronic disease. And of course, at the end, we will focus on the healthy coping strategies, because it's very important that to promote not only fibromyalgia, than in general in the life, to promote healthy coping strategies, because in our daily life we will to face different stressors and different situations. And of course, at the end, we also reflect about some possible future research or line of work, because as you know, and sadly, there are a lot of myths and biases related to this disease. Firstly, we know we live in a modern world which is plenty of stressors, not only complex and unexpected stressors, but also daily stressors. And these sources of stress are mediated, the influence of the stressors in our life by perceptions and resources. Our perceptions of the stressors are vital due to the relevance of our belief in the process, and also in resources. I am including not only socioeconomic factors, but also our social support, our personality, our characteristic, because awareness is important to not only the material resources, but also the personal resources. At the end, the mix of perceptions and resources, personal and social and economic resources, establish different patterns, and we usually use different coping strategies. But in some cases, we see that I can't. And it's important in this webinar to try to incorporate a new idea that I can. Because if I believe I can't, the most possible is I can't, in fact. But it's something easy to say, but difficult to implement. I understand as psychology and as therapist. The coping strategies, the first step is to be aware of if they are healthy or unhealthy, and try to identify in ourselves these coping strategies. For instance, on the first side, we can find in the healthy group practices sport, physical activity, of course, adapted at the condition of each patient. And also enjoy with the family, with the friends, spend time with the nature, promote a healthy free time, and of course meditation, relaxation. They are usually positive coping strategies. But on the contrary, in the unhealthy group, we can observe different conduct behaviors such as smoke, drink alcohol, take drugs, or maybe another behavior, for instance, avoidance or catastrophizing. In fact, we need to unravel our mind. We need to improve our self-cognition in order to establish our coping strategy. And we are talking about general population and also people with fibromyalgia syndrome. But really, do you know the challenge of living with fibromyalgia syndrome? Yes, I know. In this webinar, the majority of the public, and I want to thank your presence today, is they are people who know this challenge, but in the society in general, in some cases, people don't know. People don't know, and people need to be aware of the challenge to daily face with different stressors related to our pain, chronic condition, with our symptoms, and also challenge related with the consequence of the disease. And of course, it's possible to have a good health-related quality of life in spite of this, and we will try to develop some therapeutic recommendations on this sense. But of course, we need to understand in this scheme that in the case of chronic pain, in special fibromyalgia syndrome, we have more stressor and we have more risk to develop not healthy coping strategies, because it's normal, because we are facing to a chronic disease and a lot of symptoms with different intensity, variety, and also with periods, as you know, with crisis. But before dipping in this, I want to review some important concepts. As you know, fibromyalgia syndrome is a complex chronic pain disorder that has a negative impact on our health-related quality of life. And related to the prevalence and incidence, the literature scientific evidence points out that it's more frequent in women than in men, but we need to be cautious with this, because recently we have found gender bias. For instance, Srinivasan and Wolf have reported this tendency to overestimate symptoms in women and underestimate in men. And I want to pay attention in this, because this is talking us about the relevance of have a gender perspective in the diagnosis, prevention, treatment, and in the research about fibromyalgia syndrome. And of course, in spite of the advances in the scientific research and also in the diagnostic criteria, we notice that patients and healthcare continue complaining about the procedure and the step of the diagnosis and the treatment. I can say that I am pretty sure that we need to focus not only in the clinical symptoms, but also in the emotional and affective disorders in in the disease and also in the cognitive complaint in order to provide a more holistic and integrative treatment. In this sense, we have a lot of possible mediating, predisposing, or factors related to a worsening of the clinical profile of fibromyalgia syndrome. For instance, physical trauma, emotional trauma, stress, or infections, interventions. We are each day trying to research about this, but I want that you notice that stress and emotion has an important role in this, because in some cases we are only focused on the clinical profile, but the clinical profile is influenced by other aspects such as emotions and coping strategies. For instance, we have researched some personality patterns and some emotion that in sometimes they become ways to cope with the disease. One of these cases is the systematic review in which we study how in some cases fibromyalgia syndrome patients show anger as a way to cope with the disease. In some patients, it seems to be a personality pattern, not a state, not a feeling situational. In this sense, these chronic patients seem to have a greater influences on personality of this anger pattern, and this has a negative consequence because anger is related with an avoidant coping style. And now I can avoid something, but it's only increasing in the time. Avoidant style is problematic in several manners, but it's problematic because it provides a momentary situational relief, but at the last or with the pass of the time is worse. And anger is related to with more anger as a state, not only as personality pattern, and anger turned inward, and also with greater suicide risk. For that reason, it's clear that anger is not a healthy way to cope with the disease. It's normal in some occasions, in some situations, experience anger, but in the case of chronicity or in the case of that anger become a common pattern to react to the disease, we have a problem that we need to treat, of course. In other cases, anger was observed not as a personality trait, but also as a variable related with other symptoms, clinical symptoms, or cognitive or emotional symptoms. For instance, anger was related with anger toward oneself, is also called anger in, because anger can be expressed out or in, and also was related with greater level of worry and anger rumination, and seemed to be that anger amplified pain. And this supports the hypothesis that emotions can amplify pain, which is in line with previous scientific finding. And this is related to the need to take into consideration anger and the rest of emotional state as a meaningful therapeutic target during the treatment. Sadly, interventions focused on reducing anger was scarce. We only found few programs, one of mindfulness and other about strength training programs. We continue with this problem that we need to develop and to prove the efficacy of treatment in not only in clinical field, but also in reducing negative emotion and negative patterns of personality, and also unhealthy coping strategies. Related to this, we also study depression and anxiety, and we noticed that they were mediating the influence of clinical pain on health-related quality of life in fibromyalgia syndrome. Depression and anxiety are so frequently present in the fibromyalgia syndrome, but in many studies we only have a linear picture, and we wanted to know more than below this relation between pain intensity and total pain and health-related quality of life. And in this sense, we noted this mediator and modulator factors which are worsening the health-related quality of life, and the impact of pain intensity and total pain. And yes, we found that anxiety, insomnia, depression, and fatigue were influencing in a negative way the relation of pain with our quality of life. As you noted, depression, in fact, was in this study the main predictor of the health-related quality of life. For that reason, we also need not only to provide drugs, pills, and medical pharmaceutical treatment is important, yes, but we also need to work with this state, with this and other symptoms in order to relieve the patient and to improve their health-related quality of life. After this study, we need to better understand the coping strategies, and we studied pain catastrophizing and noticed that it was mediating this coping strategy, the negative influence of pain and anxiety on the health-related quality of life in fibromyalgia. And I will try to explain the relevance of pain catastrophizing, because catastrophizing can be part of our daily life, can be related with a more negative or pessimistic approach to the life. But in the context of pain, catastrophizing is a negative emotion focused coping strategy that can be conceptualized and accelerated negative orientation to pain, that as the main consequence or the common consequence are an increase of fear, discomfort, worry, and helplessness, and also comprise three major dimensions: magnification of the pain, magnification of the negative situation, helplessness, and also rumination. You know, rumination is associated with this belief, these thoughts that they are continuous in our mind, and they create a feeling of discomfort, of course, and worry. People with high level of catastrophizing as tendency magnify any currently pain experience, anticipate painful stimuli, is like an hypervigilance, and negatively assess their ability to deal with pain. If you remember at the beginning, I say, we need to sing, I can, because if I sing, I can't, the most possible is at the end, I won't be able to do it. Catastrophizing is usually positive related to greater physical disability, level of clinical pain, and difficulties, many difficulties, for instance, in self-care routine. In fibromyalgia syndrome, as you know, painful stimulus and the symptom of fibromyalgia require a self-care routine, and pain catastrophizing can interfere the prognosis and the treatment in fibromyalgia syndrome. For instance, we consider is an important focus, is an important point, a relevant factor in the origin and also in the maintenance of chronic pain in fibromyalgia syndrome. There are another coping strategies. Of course, in this study, we also research ignoring pain sensations. Pain sensations, they were not frequent. It's a strategy that tried to ignore pain, but in our study, in coherence with other studies, we don't observe. And cognitive distraction, for instance, diverting attention away from pain or other negative perception, feelings, is considered a positive strategy in chronic pain in fibromyalgia syndrome, and also in other conditions such as a depression, but it's not so prevalent like pain catastrophizing, because this cognitive distraction is suggested that can be a way to improve our health-related quality of life. Here we can see in the mediating analysis that catastrophizing, as I previously mentioned, was increasing the negative impact of anxiety in all dimensions of the health quality of life, but specifically in this example, I try physical function, general health perception, and vitality. And if you compare women with fibromyalgia syndrome and women with this pain and women without chronic pain, we notice a higher level of catastrophizing and also a higher level of cognitive distraction and ignoring sensations, because it's normal if we see that they are dealing with a pain, and the healthy women don't have to live this situation. Possible explanatory mechanisms include, in the case of cognitive distraction, one hypothesis with a lot of scientific evidence is that it's an active strategy centered not on emotion, centered on problem resolution, and maybe for this is positive. In the case of catastrophizing, is a negative strategy, as I mentioned it before, focus on cognitive negative cognition, negative emotions, and it's a cognitive bias related to higher level of neuroticism, negative affectivity, somatosensory amplification, and also body hypervigilance. They turn in a vicious circle in which you have more catastrophizing, more pain catastrophizing, and therefore more clinical pain, more possibility to feel discomfort, anxiety, depression, and at the end, a worse health-related quality of life. As you can see, catastrophizing was in this study the main predictor of the health-related quality of life. Maybe the impact of pain catastrophizing in this decrease of physical function, vitality, and general health perception is due to an increase in pain and state anxiety, but we need more studies, not from the linear perspective. Linear perspective is important, but we need to deepen in the mediation, predisposing, in the modulator factors in order to have a more complex picture of the general coping strategies, and in special of pain catastrophizing, which is one of the more studied strategies because it's an unhealthy way to cope with the disease, with the chronic pain, with the fibromyalgia syndrome, and in special with the pain. Yes, now I hope we are aware of the relevance of emotion and coping strategies, but how can I cope with fibromyalgia syndrome in a healthy way? I can't? Yes, we can, but we need, of course, a lot of effort. We need to work with our psychologists, physicians, therapists, and we need to try each day, step by step. But we need to practice and to incorporate in our daily life several recommendations, several steps in order to improve our health-related quality of life. For instance, basic in the scientific evidence and in our professional background, and also in the research of my group of research, we recommend practice regular relaxation and meditation, as I saw an excellent webinar of meditation in the ENFA's YouTube channel. Yes, we need meditate, we need to practice relaxation because they can relieve our pain, they can be a good way to cope, a healthier way to cope with the pain and the rest of symptoms. But the first step, please, is being kind to ourselves, because we need to be patient with ourselves. We need to be kind to ourselves. We need to understand our situation. We don't need to be enemies of our psychological health, our mental and physical health. We need to be our friends. Based on this idea, for instance, we can practice contemplative meditation. We can try to focus our mind on a fixed point or support ourselves with image or objects. Of course, relaxation and meditation require a practice, a supervised practice at the beginning. We need to advance from the simple to the more complex in order to practice and to incorporate in our life this habit, because it's very important that we practice not only when we have a crisis or bad situation, that usually in our daily life is the real relevance of better coping strategies, not only for when emotion or the problems appear, but it's better if we can adapt our routine and to practice in our daily life. In this sense, we need also to search information and train our mind. Remember, cognitive problems are present, and we need to perform different strategies, maybe crossword, puzzle, you can choose, but it's important to have our mind active and also search scientific evidence, because we, in some occasions, read material that is not scientific and is only a way to increase worries and mistakes, biases about our condition. And also we need, for instance, to practice the reading and habits related to this, because it can strengthen our neural connections too. And we need time. I know, you are so busy, but we need time. Time for what? Time for understand me, listen to me, love me, take care of me, and accept my emotions. Yes, because this hugs, this love directed by ourselves is the first step in order to understand. Yes, I am being aware about my coping strategies, and I am on the way to changing in order to have a better, a healthier approach. But if you don't have time to see in your coping strategies and to understand you and to provide support you, maybe the final result don't be so successful. Yes, I know maybe we are late, but no, it's always a good time to start train the mind, perform regular and adaptive physical activity. Remember, supervised physical activity and adapted to our condition, and also, of course, maintain a healthy diet. A healthy diet, I always think, not only in food, but also in belief, in thoughts, because we are consuming too a lot of ideas, and I prefer to try to cite the more positive belief and thoughts and feelings. It doesn't mean that we don't have problems, and it's not an illusory optimism. No. It's a realistic optimism, because fibromyalgia syndrome, in my therapeutic experience and in my research experience, they are an example to resilience and how to continue. And they always give me a class of how to continue in spite of the pain. I am so grateful to my patients, to the people who attend to our experiments, our research, in special to the Fibromyalgia Association of Jaén, Spain, which collaborate with us a lot of time. They always prove me or show me this resilience side, and we need to train this resilience. And of course, reawakening curiosity. Yes, if you are here, if you are listening to me and enjoying this night with Joanna, Gunilla, and me, it's because you have curiosity, you are learning, you are in the way, and it's important to continue in this way. Of course, I remember, avoid alcohol, drugs, no smoking, because it has a negative impact on clinical, cognitive, and emotional symptoms, and also in the fibromyalgia syndrome. It's important to find a space, a time for expressing and regulating our emotions in a healthy way, because at the end I was talking about depression, about anxiety, anger, but at the beginning maybe it was only a feeling of sadness or anger or feeling attention, but the chronicity, the conversion of these feelings in disorders sometimes is mediated by the lack of these spaces for expressing and regulating our emotions. And of course, please avoid social isolation. We need social support. We don't need to be worried alone. We have association. We have new possibilities. Social support is very important in the prognosis and the treatment, and is an important, relevant coping strategy, because if we have social support, we can enhance our personal resources and we can better adapt or better face to the different situation. But if you have any doubt, we have another study about social support on cognitive deficit in fibromyalgia syndrome. Yes, we found that first, we have people with fibromyalgia syndrome, women with problems with deficits in social support. Is logical because we are feeling pain, a lot of symptoms, and sometimes we decided not to socialize a lot, or maybe our relation changed. But in spite of this, and in spite of the socializing dimension was the most affected, we observed a positive impact of social support in all dimensions on verbal memory, organization, planning abilities, strategic planning, self-regulation, processing speed, attention, and cognitive flexibility. This means that not only social support is good for our state or health, it's not only good for our coping strategies, it's also good for our cognitive situation. And social support was associated with minor number of errors and better processing speed, because maybe in other webinars we can talk about the process that activates social support in our brain, but it's important that we notice that socializing was the main predictor of the majority of neuropsychological variables. And this result suggests that social support may be a key factor in buffering the cognitive decline that we observe in some fibromyalgia syndrome patients. And of course, we need to work social support. We need to design psychoeducational programs and interventions directed to fibromyalgia patients, relative, and I think to all the population, in order to increase the ability, the resources, the knowledge about the fibromyalgia, and also to create a better net, social net, networking, neighborhood net, because it's a way to continue to face with the disease and not to feel alone, not to be isolated. And of course, we need to be flexible. Yes, because in some cases we can think, yes, I am alone, this is difficult to solve this, but we can take advantage of the benefit of the online format, and we can find through the online websites, association activities, different possibilities to cope with the daily stressor, and try to look, I insist, for the positive side of the situation, because in each situation, it can be a challenge, it can be a way to learn, something to learn. As conclusions, the quality of life can be improved with support, with effort, with your attitude, because your attitude can make all the difference. Trust on me, please. And it's always a good time to take care of our physical and mental health. And we are not alone in our struggle. We can create this net. We can fight together in order to achieve this recognition of the disease, and also a better understanding, a better process of diagnosis, and also a better treatment. Thank you for your attention. It's a pleasure to stay with you. This is the Clinical Psychophysiology Research Group social media, because we always are trying to be informative and to create collaborations and to provide information to all the community, to all the society. If you need something, you can come with us. And of course, I remain at your disposal for any question may you have. Thank you a lot.
Thank you so much, Carmen Maria. It was very, very interesting. And you are a psychologist, and this is research from your point of opinions, and you were also talking about the patients in your clinics, and when you starting a study with patients, are you including the one or maybe two patient representatives to collaborate with you in the study planning or the outcomes, and making some prompts from the studies as well?
Yes, well, we have a good and strength collaboration with the Fibromyalgia and Fatigue Syndrome Association of our community, and also our province, Jaén, because we have been collaborating more than 10 years because we understand that we need to collaborate. They need our research and they need their knowledge, their experience, because each person is the expert in this condition, and we only can reach this information through their help. And I only have words of gratitude, because it's so difficult to attend to our studies at the University of Jaén in spite of fatigue, pain. In many cases, they can take the daily medication in order to participate. They perform this effort in an altruistic way because they want to collaborate, and it's something for me impressive. And yes, at the beginning, we create the first step of we were building this connection, but nowadays we try to include their needs in our program. For instance, we try to develop a new branch related to therapy. Our group is a physiological group, clinical physiological group, but we are increasing our fields because we have demands on the need of therapies, for instance, and also we each year we try to provide the association not only informative lectures and activities that they demand, and also we can create. We provide them a kind of book with a short Spanish and informative abstract about the studies and the results, and we always try to be connected and to collaborate, because it's for us it's the better way. We need to hear and to learn about this person that I insist they are expert in their condition.
That's lovely to hear, because we have found through the years that there's a lot of studies going on, and very good high-level studies for fibromyalgia syndrome. But sometimes we can see the lack of patient involvement in the studies. So it makes me very happy that you have a good collaboration with the Spanish Association in these matters. And I have also found out through the years that the patient schools, pain schools, are very important, that patients can be in a group and talk about their own experiences and things like that, but also be a little bit educated. For example, what's happened in the body. I mean, it happens a lot in the body, and then it comes out as emotions, as you talk so very good about, I think. And I have learned that, and what you think about, if you get a bit of education about the brain, how it works in the brain, and for instance, the amygdala, the emotional organ in your brain, if you get to know a little bit more about what it is really the emotional organ, and all the pain signals go through amygdala, and then there's no filter, and then it touches all the emotions you have, all the emotions. And if you get to know, if you get a little bit more education about that, I can say to my husband sometimes, oh, it's just my amygdala today. It's troubling me. If I, as you have proved in your study about the anger, depression, and things like that. So I think it's, as a patient, I find it very informative to get some education about my body, my brain as well, so I can understand my emotions.
Yeah, unfortunately, we notice that in psychoeducation programs, in many times, we have a systematic review about this topic. It was curious and sad. We don't see a lot of psychoeducation programs related to the real needs in the opinion of patients, no? With the real need, or maybe that psychoeducation programs are a first step, very important, very recognized, but only together with other treatment. It is important, but also it's important to dedicate a time only for psychoeducation, not only in fibromyalgia syndrome, in any condition, because as you know, the pain is not only clinic, it's also cognitive, it's also emotional. Pain is a complex multifaceted disorder, and we need more education because we need to know these patterns of coping strategies and how to cope in a healthier way. Because I think if I know since the beginning, maybe in this moment it's normal, I can implement, but if I know it's more possible later that I can access to this information and to use.
Yes, very good. We got a question from Nicoletta Soneva. Sorry if I am not pronouncing your name in a very good manner. Here is the question for you, Carmen Maria. Do you think that increasing neuroplasticity is an option for overcoming the fibromyalgia pain?
Thank you, Nicola. That's a difficult question.
Yeah, very, very.
I think I am a biopsychosocial perspective. It means that I am not only in favor of biological, psychological, or social factors divided. I consider we need to take an integrative approach to the treatment of pain. And to overcome fibromyalgia syndrome, first, I consider we need more resources, economic resources, more laws, more politics, because we need, honestly, we need more recognition to the disease, and we are advancing, yes, in scientific evidence, in scientific research, but I consider we need to reach higher levels in this sense. But nociplastic is a hypothesis that is being researching, is important, of course, all related to the brain, to the model system and how they are modulating neural circuits. But I always consider we need to accompany this treatment or any treatment with psychoeducation, with emotional education, cognitive training, and also a personalized, a center person approach during the treatment, because pain is so complex that require this multidisciplinary and multifaceted approach is my point of view.
Yes, yeah, I think we can agree about that. And it makes us quite sad, I think, because when we hear about the education for doctors, there's not many hours they have for pain in their education. Maybe they have 5, 6, 7 years long education, but not many hours for pain. So I think, let me say, when you are a fibromyalgia patient and you are associated with an association and you get a little bit stronger voice, there's on so many levels the association have to work on both the policymakers, the doctors, the caregivers, and the primary care. So it can really sometimes get you losing your positive approach to life, I think. And you had very good slides about take care of yourself, be nice to yourself. And I think that includes what we say, self-efficacy and self-awareness, that we need to be quite nice to ourselves, I think.
Yes,
the society is complex as well and hard to live sometimes, to work the work situation as well at all.
Yes, it's so complex. It's normal to feel tired. It's normal even stop, but the most important is continuous, because if we give up, it's a problem, because we need to continue. Of course, each day is different, but if you try to perform a more positive attitude each day, it's like meditation, relaxation, and another practice. You can improve your way of coping with different problems, not only with fibromyalgia.
No, it's true. And it's very difficult to get sick leave for fibromyalgia syndrome as well. So we are very happy, I think, in ENFA, in one, meaning that we are a lot of organizations, and we are now involved in a lot of research, and we are getting approached to collaborate with researchers. So that we are very happy for, and that's why I asked you about your collaboration with the association and patients with fibromyalgia syndromes. I think it's very important. Also, the support from the surroundings. I mean, a lot of members, people I know, they have very difficulties to explain what is fibromyalgia to their families, relatives, and friends. And therefore, many people get so isolated. It's very difficult to explain. So could you maybe try to give us some shorter sentences, how we could, in an easy way, to explain what is fibromyalgia? It's a hard question. It's a hard question. Yeah, yes, it is. You have already in many other, when you shared your slides and things on, but just for everyone, how can I explain?
Yes, I will say first, there are things that you can see, but they are real, no? I will begin with this question. You can see many things, but other you can, but they exist, they happen. Yes or no? Yes, of course, no? It's the normal answer. But later I will try to explain that fibromyalgia is something that different from other disease or conditions. You can see maybe in the body, but there is happening, there exists, because in our not only central nervous system, but also peripheral system, we have a different pain processing. We have alterations in our body, in our emotions, in our cognition, and they are happening. And if the rest of people don't be open to understand this, it's a problem, because is a new source of suffering, because you need to prove you are ill, and it's so sad. My recommendation is to prove with this idea, try to show, to be evident the fact that exists, and there are a lot of things that we can see that exist, and fibromyalgia exists in spite of not being or don't have a specific or physical pattern. We need to work with the general population. I always attend to informative meeting, lectures. I think that I always trying to say to everyone, please pay me attention. Fibromyalgia, do you know? No, please let me explain, because if one person raise awareness about the topic and improve their knowledge, for us it's so important, but for this person too, because it's an exercise of empathy, of knowledge, compassion, gratitude, and we need to educate population, not only patients and relatives and associations. We need to perform, to my mind, to perform activities, informative events with general population.
Thank you very much. One of my wishes is that the caregivers, the primary care, and all people in the profession get to know more about fibromyalgia. And if they get to know and we work together as patients, I think it will be a better care for fibromyalgia patients. And I always say that an invisible disease is still a disease. So there's a lot of more improvement, both on our behalf and on the profession. But we still, and you are here today to give us more knowledge about the disease, and we have a lot of good researchers, but it's the policymakers we need to wake up, because there's a huge cost for the society that patients are going around in the health systems with no real treatment. So there's a long process for patients with fibromyalgia. I can see we have not yet got any more questions. So please, we still have some minutes to go. And if you would like to send us a question, and Carmen Maria, I think she's happy to make some answers on your questions. I don't see any more. Joanna, edit them all. Oh, I have some more here from it's all the same question as before, a new one from Nicoletta Tsoneva. Could you talk about the connection between fibromyalgia and ADHD? There are some researchers saying that a lot of fibro patients have also ADHD. What do you think about that?
Yes, thank you, Nicoletta. It's not my field of expertise, it is disease, but yes, there are research that suggesting some associations, some maybe common links, but it's something that is still under review. But I noticed, not this condition, but I noticed in my research cognitive deficit, especially in attention, concentration, processing speed, I previously commented, but this is related to the fact that the neural circuit that process pain, as Gunilla mentioned too, is related or is overlapping in part with the circuit, the neural circuit that process also emotions and cognitions. And if you are feeling pain, you are recruiting these resources, and in these resources not be maybe available for cognition and emotional optimizing processing. But it's only one hypothesis. We need to continue researching, and I want to thank to the patient, to all people that participate in studies, not only in Spain, in the rest of countries, because your contribution is vital for our research.
Yeah, thank you. So there's still a lot of unknown answers about this connection between these two diseases, I think. But we will eventually have good answers about this as well. So we will thank you, Carmen, Maria, for tonight. It has been very nice and interesting to hear your to share with you your studies and your research about this topic. And maybe we can welcome you back next year, because you would like to have another lecture with us, and we are happy for that. And what will the subject be that time?
Of course, thank you a lot. It will be a pleasure to stay with you. Thank you, because I understand the effort to perform this kind of activities, and thank you for your support and for continuing trying to not be alone in our struggle to research, to recognize, and to better approach to the fibromyalgia. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Carmen. And thank you all the participants. And this video will a little bit later come up on our YouTube channel. So you can review it again and maybe look at it into it with your members or your family or something like that. So thank you so much for being with us tonight, and good night. Thank you. Thank you, Carmen, and everyone. Yes.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye.